It is the eve of the legal tampering period before NFL free agency in the National Football League. And today, I'm going to be going over my ideal free agency plan and what that looks like for GM Omar and the Pittsburgh Steelers as we approach free agency starting tomorrow. Before we get into my ideal Steelers free agency plan today, make sure you guys click that subscribe button because tomorrow, Coop and I, we're going to be going live for our free agency special here on Steelers Talk. We're going to learn a lot about what this Steelers team is going to be looking like in 2024. Hopefully we get a couple of signings. Maybe Russell Wilson signs tomorrow. We're going to be starting at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. Central. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button to never miss a moment all throughout the offseason. This next week, there's going to be a lot of new members of the Pittsburgh Steelers added to the roster. You're not going to want to miss any of those major news items, so make sure you click that subscribe button right now. So let's start with the projected cap space here for the Pittsburgh Steelers heading into free agency, which is just over $26 million after all the cuts that they've made, like Allen Robinson and Mason Cole and Mitchell Trubisky. After all those moves that they have made, they now sit at just over $25 million in cap space, and they can even make more. I mean, they could even cut DeMonte KZ, they could still cut players, and they can restructure players. There's a couple guys that they could actually, it makes a lot of sense to restructure, and that's Alex Highsmith and Minkah Fitzpatrick. Now, how much will they restructure and how much will they move around? I think that depends on how many players and how expensive those players are in free agency this year. So without further ado, let's go over my perfect Steelers free agency plan here as we approach free agency. And we're going to start with the quarterback here, and this is what's expected to happen for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that is Russell Wilson. I'm going to do a deal here where it's 2 years, $29.2 million total over those 2 years. So the first year, this is how it all breaks down. The first year is going to be the vet minimum, which is just over $1.2 million. That is an absolute steal. But the report is Russell wants a second year on his deal to potentially come back, and he wants the next team that he goes to be the team that he finishes his career with. So he wants that second year on there. And listen, $28 million for a quarterback in today's market is not all that much in the second year. And I think the Steelers would set it up so that there's no or little guaranteed money so that they can just cut him next offseason if that's the move that makes sense for the team. If he comes here and he stinks, it gives them the freedom to let him go, and they still have that money available to spend elsewhere next offseason. And I really do think that that is what is best for the Pittsburgh Steelers moving forward. So the report came in a couple days ago here from friend of the show, Josina Anderson here, and she said, heard Russell Wilson at a great meeting in Pittsburgh so far. I was told he sat with Steelers offensive coordinator Arthur Smith 4 hours and that he looked happy. I was also told Wilson did his homework reaching out to some players in advance. Per source, Mike Tomlin moves like the G in lasagna, so we'll see how much carryover there is after Russell Wilson retreats to his quarters. So it seems like Russ had one hell of a time with Artie Smith here in Pittsburgh with his visit, and he liked it quite a bit. And then this morning, Jeremy Fowler gave us the latest on the Russell Wilson situation. He says Pittsburgh's interest in Wilson is indeed real, as was assured to me by a team source. Wilson arrived at the Steelers facility on Friday afternoon and had what a source described as a very positive meeting with the club. I'm told Wilson is eager to help his new team on the contract front and enters the free agency process looking not only for the chance to win, but also a team with an infrastructure for winning and has done it consistently. Sounds like the Pittsburgh Steelers to me. Pittsburgh fits that mold. Let's see how this shakes out, but the Steelers appear well positioned. So for me, guys, it really does look like Russell Wilson will sign with the Pittsburgh Steelers sometime over the next 72 hours or so before the start of the new league year, where of course he can officially sign that contract. And what I think that this signing means for the Pittsburgh Steelers, if you bring in Russell Wilson, what that means for you is that you have a fighting chance at a Super Bowl championship, okay? That if you bring in Russ, are you Super Bowl favorites over the Chiefs? No, you're not, okay? The betting market is not going to change in that regard. It's not like the Steelers are going to be the number one team in the league heading into next year, but it gives them a fighting chance because Russell Wilson is a very good, experienced quarterback in this league. The numbers back that up from last year in Denver, and he also has a ton of playoff experience. So when and if the Steelers make the playoffs this year with Russell Wilson, he's got the experience and the clutch ability to win these games in these big moments. And honestly, guys, with the run game that you have, with the weapons that you have, with the defense that you have, with the head coach that is here in Mike Tomlin, Russell Wilson doesn't need to be a Patrick Mahomes-type quarterback for the Steelers to have success and give them a chance to give Cam Hayward his first Super Bowl ring before he hangs them up. So some potential openings here for 2025, because you give Russell Wilson that $28 million for his second season. The reason why I'm giving him that is because the openings here with Diontae Johnson on the last year of his contract, that's $15.8 million that opens up in 2025 if he leaves and he doesn't sign an extension. And then Cam Hayward, it's looking like it's going to be his final season in the National Football League heading into next year. And if he ends up retiring, that ends up opening up over $22 million in additional cap space, so you can afford to pay Russ in year 2 because of these two guys not being on the roster, and because you're only signing Russell Wilson to the vet minimum this year, $1.2 million. That means that opens up a ton of space in free agency to go out and surround him with even more talent, to sign another wide receiver, to go out and get a corner, an inside linebacker, a safety, all these positions that we know the Steelers need to fill this year. Signing Russell Wilson for $1.2 million against the cap this year allows Omar to really do his thing and get the players that he wants in free agency. So let me know down there in the comments section, how many games do you think the Steelers will win next year if Russell Wilson is the starting quarterback? All right, the Steelers won 10 games last year with the 28th ranked scoring offense and Kenny frickin' Pickett and Mitchell Trubisky and Mason Rudolph as their quarterbacks. All right, with Russell Wilson, I would say they're going to win 12 games. Well, let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section for today's pinned comment. YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. When that happens, take advantage of that time by answering today's pinned question. So now let's trade Diontae Johnson here, because that's all the buzz going around Steelers Twitter right now, is that Diontae could be on his way out. He's not really gelling with the new offensive scheme, all these different things, and he's on the last year of his deal, and he doesn't really like Kenny Pickett still being an option to be the quarterback in the future. He doesn't think he's a good QB. He's even publicly said he wants Mason Rudolph to start over Kenny Pickett this upcoming season, so it seems like there's a little bit of a rift between Diontae Johnson and the Steelers. So you know what? We're going to go out and get L'Jarius Sneed, who was just franchise tagged by the Kansas City Chiefs. They're currently shopping him to teams around the league. And we're going to use Diontae Johnson as a trading chip here to get L'Jarius Sneed on the Steelers roster. We're going to give him Diontae and one of our fourth-round picks this year, number 121 overall. Okay, the Steelers have 2 fourth-rounders this year. I think that if you can give up one of those fourth-rounders and Diontae Johnson, who's no longer a fit for your team, he's on the last year of his contract, you probably want to bring in new receivers anyway. I think this is a deal that works out for both sides. The Chiefs get a really good route-running wide receiver that can help them potentially win another Super Bowl, and they get another mid-round pick in the 4th round, and the Steelers get an excellent physical outside corner to put on the other side of Joey Porter Jr., another physical press man corner. And I would love to see what the Steelers defense looks like with L'Jarius Sneed. And if you trade for him, $19.8 million is a lot of money for a corner, all right, granted. But you do have options as to how you can manipulate that contract. The first option that you have is that you can just play him on the franchise tag, 1-year contract, $19.8 million, and you can reevaluate his situation next offseason, or you can trade for him and you can give him an extension that lowers his cap hit for the 2024 campaign and keeps him here long term. That's probably the option I would like to do if I were GM Omar, but who knows what they would do in this situation. Then we get a wide receiver here. We just lost Diontae Johnson, so you got to fill the void, and I'm going to bring the Pittsburgh boy back home, Tyler Boyd, on a 2-year contract, $8.25 million per season to be the number 2 wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers next season on the other side of George Pickens. Obviously, Tyler Boyd, many of you guys know he's a Pittsburgh native. He was a Pitt Panther. He played his college ball at Acrisure Stadium, right? All these great things. And then also, I think he's a great fit in Arthur Smith's offense. He's a good run blocker. He can play in the slot and outside, so he brings versatility that's very valuable as well. And I like that projected contract there, $8.25 million for a really solid number 2. I am going to take that to the bank all day long. And in addition to this, I do think that the Steelers are looking at wide receiver talent Early in the 2024 NFL Draft, they had formal meetings with many of the top wide receivers in this year's draft class. A lot of guys projected to go in like the early second round. I think the Steelers are hoping one of those guys falls to them in round 2. And if you get rid of Diontae Johnson, you bring in Tyler Boyd, I think they'd probably take another wide receiver by day 2 of the NFL Draft as well. Then we get to corner here because you do have L'Jarius Sneed. Okay, he'll be on the outside. Joey Porter Jr. will be on the other side, on the outside. Now you need a nickel corner. And right now on the market, there's no better option than Kenny Moore, coming formerly from the Indianapolis Colts. 2 years, $6.75 million per season. I think that's a steal because he just had the highest Pro Football Focus grade of his career, 77.4. That's 18th overall in the National Football League. This is a top 20 corner overall. He can play inside in the slot. He can play outside. He's a great locker room presence. He's a former Pro Bowler, and that's something that I think is definitely going to be something that's on Mike Tomlin's mind. This guy has Pittsburgh Steeler written all over him, and I love the value there of the $6.75 million per season contract. Really think that'd be a great fit. And just imagine, man, Joey Porter Jr., L'Jarius Sneed, Kenny Moore as your 3 starting corners. I think that's going to be very, very difficult for people to match up with one-on-one, and it would allow the Steelers to play a lot of man coverage, which when Mike Tomlin is at his best, he likes to do. So coming up here, we got more free agency targets to discuss for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But before we get into that, I want to talk about today's sponsor at Fanatics. And guys, you know, sometimes with all the graphic tees that are out there today, they've got all these crazy designs, and it's distracting, all right? Sometimes you just want a nice, simple design with simple color palette, and that's exactly what our friends at Fanatics are offering you guys today. A great deal on a Steelers throwback t-shirt, classic black, retro helmet, super simple, super clean, and it's going to make you look good this summer when you're rocking the black and gold. Go to chatsports.com/throwback. Use our link. That's our link right there, chatsports.com/throwback for a special deal from our friends at Fanatics. You're not going to want to miss it. Chatsports.com/throwback. Get yours now before they're out in your size. Now we'll address safety. Just cut Patrick Peterson, so he will not be playing corner or safety for the Steelers this year. And I think that the $6 million plus that they saved from cutting Patrick Peterson, I think that they're going to want to use that to get a starting strong safety that they think would provide more value than Peterson would have if he would have been on the roster. Here you get Julian Blackman, formerly with the Colts. All right, so you get Kenny Moore and Julian Blackman from the Colts defense. And I really like Blackman's versatility as well. He's got the size to play in the box, which is what the Steelers would be asking him to do. He's a pretty darn good Pro Football Focus grader. He had the highest PFF grade of his career last year at 68.3. And I think that, you know, he's played at free safety. He's played in the slot. He's played at strong safety. So if there's injuries and you need to move stuff around like the Steelers had last year in the secondary, Blackman's the type of guy that can move around, do different things, and I think he's a super hard hitter and he plays like a Pittsburgh Steeler. And also, guys, watch out for a potential second safety to be signed for the Pittsburgh Steelers, whether that be Terrell Edmunds, Jeremy Chinn, someone like that, somebody that's a lower price tag, but somebody that can come in and be a part of the rotation for the black and gold here in 2024. Then we get to the center position, and we know that this is a big position for the Steelers to replace Mason Cole with this year. And I think Aaron Brewer is probably the guy that I would do it with. 1-year contract, $6.67 million per year. And this is Arthur Smith's guy. All right, when he talks about Aaron Brewer, if you listen to him talk about this guy, it's just glowing, all right? He loves his work ethic. He loves his lunch pail mentality that he brings to the field every day. And look at that PFF grade, 71.6. That's top 11 in the National Football League last year. So he's a pretty darn good starting center in this league. And then also the projected contract is something that I like at 6.67. And it still opens up the possibility of taking a center in the draft. Brewer is somebody that's played guard in his career as well, so you can have that versatility that we know Omar and Mike Tomlin really look for along the offensive line, and you can still get a center like a Cedric Van Pran or Zach Frazier or Jackson Powers-Johnson this year and fill that role, and I think Brewer would fill any role that you put him in very nicely, and he fits what Arthur Smith is looking for. Then here's a juicy one. It's Coop's favorite player on the list here. Let's bring in Bobby Wagner, baby. Inside linebacker for 1 season, $4 million total. You're bringing in Russell Wilson to try to maximize this roster right now. And Bobby Wagner, over the last million seasons, has been a top 10 grading inside linebacker in football. He was the 7th highest graded linebacker last year with the Seattle Seahawks. So don't tell me he's washed, all right? Because this guy can still play. He would be a captain on the Steelers defense, and it would provide another level of physicality in the middle of the Steelers defense with Minkah Fitzpatrick just behind him. I mean, good Lord, man. You got Sneed and Porter Jr. on the outside with Wagner and Minkah in the middle. I mean, good luck going up against that defense with Watt and Highsmith coming after you, with Keanu Benson and Cam Hayward. This defense is going to be insane with Bobby Wagner on it. Let's go get Bobby Wagner one more ring before he retires. Let's make it happen. $4 million, 1-year contract. Bobby Wagner, you look good in black and gold. Then we get to the final pick here, and I'm going to go Jeremy Chinn. I said earlier that the Steelers might look into getting a second safety, and I think that what that second safety is going to look like is somebody that can play that safety / linebacker hybrid role that they brought in Keanu Neal to fill last year. Jeremy Chinn, somebody that was really good in Carolina before their defensive coordinator, Ejiro Evero, came in and implemented a Fangio-style system that forced him to be kind of like a zone man-to-man player. That's not his game. He's more of a true strong safety / inside linebacker / nickel corner at times, and he likes to be physical, all right? And that's exactly what I think Mike Tomlin is looking for in this role. Somebody that can play strong safety / linebacker hybrid, that kind of that Terrell Edmunds role in that 3 safety package that we know Mike Tomlin loves to run. Jeremy Chinn is perfect for that, and because he's had 2 down seasons with Carolina in kind of a scheme mismatch there with Ejiro Evero, his price point's going to go way down, so you can get him for like a 1-year contract, $3 million for that 1 season, maybe even less than that, and that's something I'm absolutely doing if I am the Pittsburgh Steelers. So here's my free agency haul for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Of course, you get L'Jarius Sneed in via trade, but you get Russell Wilson to be your quarterback for the short term. Try to win a Super Bowl with this talented roster right now. L'Jarius Sneed for at least a season to put on the other side of Joey Porter Jr., absolutely locking guys up on the outside. Then you get Tyler Boyd as your number 2 receiver. Kenny Moore is the guy to play in the slot there in the secondary. Julian Blackmon to be your starting strong safety. Aaron Brewer to be your center for now. Bobby Wagner to be the captain in the middle of this defense next year. And then Jeremy Chinn as that safety / linebacker hybrid in those 3 safety packages. Now, it's your turn, guys. Make sure you guys go grade my free agency plan. Do you think this would be a good fit for the Pittsburgh Steelers? All the players that I talked about today. How would you grade this if Omar Khan was able to put together this collection of talent? Give me an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F. Let me know down there in the comment section. So again, tomorrow is our free agency special right here on Steelers Talk. We're going to start 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 10 a.m. Central. All right, so make sure you guys click that subscribe button, because if Russell Wilson signs tomorrow, we're going to be live covering that. If they sign somebody or multiple players, we're going to have you guys covered live here on the channel. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be tortilla slaps and boots and drinking and all this different stuff. It's going to be so much fun. You're not going to want to miss it. So make sure, put it in your schedule right now. Click that subscribe button, turn on your notifications, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning.